Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that takes a stack of sources and pulls out the key insights, helping you cut through the noise on topics that are, well, quietly changing everything. Today, we're diving into a really big one, the Internet of Things, specifically IoT security. I mean, think about it. Your watch, your car, your home thermostat, even huge machines in factories, they're all getting connected, sharing data. It promises amazing efficiency, convenience. But this hyper-connected world, it also brings some fascinating, maybe even alarming security questions. We've been digging into this really comprehensive research doc called The Secure House, a comprehensive deep dive into the state of IoT security. And our mission for you is to pull out those crucial nuggets of knowledge, help you really grasp what it takes to secure this, well, hyper-connected world we live in. Speaking of securing your connected world, this deep dive is brought to you by our sponsor, www.securus.house, helping you build your own digital fortress right at home. So let's set the scene a bit. The Internet of Things, IoT, it's much more complex than just, say, a smart light bulb, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Way more complex. It's this huge growing network of physical things. And it's all possible because computer chips are cheap now. We have fast telecom, scalable cloud.
Right.
It's everyday objects using built-in sensors. They collect data, they talk to each other, they react intelligently.
So what really makes up a typical IoT system? What are the core parts?
Okay, yeah. Think of it like pillars. First, you've got the smart devices. That's the perception layer. These are the actual physical things, right? They have computing power, embedded sensors.
Like for temperature, motion, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Temperature, motion, light, pressure, converting real-world stuff into digital data. And critically, many also have actuators.
Actuators.
Yeah, they're like the device's hands. They perform physical actions, opening a valve, adjusting your thermostat, locking a door.
Okay, so devices with sensors and actuators. What's next?
Then comes connectivity, the network layer. Think of it as the nervous system. It transmits all that data. And it's not just one thing like Wi-Fi. You've got short-range stuff, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee, common for home devices, but also long-range options.
Like for things spread out more.
Precisely.
Wow.
Cellular, like 5G, or LPWANs, low-power, wide-area networks like LoRaWAN. Perfect for, say, environmental sensors across a whole city. Low-power, long-distance.
Got it. Devices, connectivity. Then the data has to go somewhere.
Yep. Pillar 3, data processing. This happens in two main places, the cloud and at the edge. The cloud gives you that massive scalable power for storing and analyzing huge data sets, big data analytics, AI, machine learning, all that happens there. But increasingly, processing is happening locally on or near the device itself. That's edge computing.
Why do that? Faster response.
Exactly. Reduces latency, so you get real-time responses. And it can actually boost security because you're not sending as much raw data across the network.
Interesting. Okay, what's the final piece?
The user interface. The application layer. This is how you interact with it all. Your mobile app, a web dashboard, you use these to monitor things, see the data, send commands back to the devices, makes the whole complex system usable.
It really does sound like IoT is touching, well, almost everything now. Where are we seeing the most obvious impacts?
It's incredibly pervasive. You've got consumer IoT, CIoT, smart homes are the classic example, thermostats, security cameras, appliances, plus wearables like fitness trackers or even remote patient monitoring devices.
Yeah, my watch tracks my steps, my sleep.
Right. Then there's industrial IoT. This is huge for manufacturing, supply chains. Think predictive maintenance, fixing machines before they break. Quality monitoring. It's a big part of what people call Industry 4.0.
Okay.
We also see it in smart cities and infrastructure, managing air quality, streetlights that adapt to traffic, optimizing traffic flow itself, maintaining bridges.
And cars too, right? Connected vehicles.
Absolutely. Smart dash cams, infotainment systems that connect to the internet, systems that monitor driver performance, even automatic emergency calls if there's a crash.
So it seems the more we weave this tech into our lives, especially for critical things, the higher the stakes if something goes wrong.
That's the crux of it.
You mentioned a layered model before for the architecture. Does that help understand where the weak points might be?
It's really helpful, yeah. People often talk about a 6-layer model. Perception, the devices, connectivity, data processing, application, the UI, then a process layer linking it to business logic, and crucially, a cross-cutting security layer. It has to touch everything. Let's take that temperature sensor again. Sensor perception sends data via Wi-Fi connectivity, goes to the cloud processing. You see it on your mobile app, application, maybe a rule, triggers, process, tells your HVAC actuator to adjust back to perception.
Oh, okay.
Security isn't just one layer. It's needed at every single step of that journey. Each connection, each processing point is a potential vulnerability.
That really clarifies things. It's this vast ecosystem. But this leads me back to something you touched on. It feels like so many of these devices are, well, fundamentally insecure by design. Is that fair? Is this hyper-connected reality really as fragile as some reports make it sound?
Fragile is, unfortunately, a pretty accurate word. The attack surface, all the possible points an attacker could target, has just exploded. Look at the stats. The average U.S. household went from maybe 10 connected devices in 2020 to 22 by 2022. That's more than double in 2 years.
Wow.
Globally. Billions of devices. Gartner predicts over 18 billion enterprise IoT devices by 2030. That's 4 times the number of user devices like laptops or phones.
You mentioned shadow IoT before.
Yeah, that's a huge headache for businesses. Devices connected to the company network that IT doesn't even know about.
Like someone plugging in a smart speaker in a meeting room.
Exactly. Or smart TV, or even personal fitness trackers connecting to the corporate Wi-Fi. They create these massive blind spots, undefended entry points.
Okay, so the scale is enormous. But why are they so often insecure from the start? What's the deal with this insecure by design idea?
It often comes down to what some call the original sin of IoT manufacturing. In the early days, and often still now, the big push was speed to market and keeping costs incredibly low. Security was, well, it was an afterthought, if it was thought of at all.
So features first, security later. Maybe.
Pretty much. A Gartner analyst famously said many devices had almost zero security built into them by design. Plus, there are the physical constraints. To keep costs down and battery life up, many IoT devices have very little processing power or memory.
Right, they're not like a full computer.
Not at all. So running robust security, like strong encryption or an on-device firewall, becomes difficult, sometimes impossible.
Okay, that makes sense.
What else contributes?
A huge one. Default settings. The peril of defaults. So many devices ship with incredibly weak, easy to guess, or even hard-coded default usernames and passwords.
Like admin. It's exactly. Admin, root password, user. Things anyone can find online in minutes, and users often never change them. It's like leaving your front door wide open with the key under the mat.
Yikes.
And then there's the update problem. Lack of secure update mechanisms. Many devices simply can't be updated. Or if they can, the process itself is insecure.
How so?
Maybe the update file isn't checked to make sure it's legitimate, no digital signature. Maybe it's sent unencrypted. Maybe there's no protection against rolling back to an older, vulnerable version.
So a vulnerability found today might just stay there forever on millions of devices.
Precisely. And that's why most successful IoT attacks aren't using super sophisticated, unknown, zero-day exploits. They're hitting these known basic weaknesses, the low-hanging fruit.
Is there a way to categorize these common risks, like a standard checklist of things to watch out for?
There is, and it's very useful. The OWASP Top 10 for IoT. OWASP is the Open Web Application Security Project, and they maintain these lists for various technologies.
And what stands out on the IoT list?
Well, number 1, I1. Weak, guessable, or hard-coded passwords is exactly what we just discussed. That's how the Mirai botnet worked. It just tried about 64 default password pairs and compromised millions of devices.
Just 64 pairs? That's sobering.
It really is. Another big one is I4, lack of secure update mechanism, which we also covered, devices that can't be patched or ticking time bombs, and I7, insecure data transfer and storage. This links to a staggering statistic. Something like 98% of all IoT device traffic is unencrypted.
98%.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Just broadcasting data out in the open. And I8, lack of device management relates directly back to that shadow IoT problem, companies not knowing what's even on their network.
So these aren't exotic problems. They're fundamental security failing.
Exactly. And recent threat reports looking at data up to 2025 really drive this home. That 98% unencrypted traffic figure still holds. We're seeing 57% of IoT devices are vulnerable to medium or high severity attacks.
Oh, that half.
Yep. And attacks on critical infrastructure, what we call operational technology or OT, are surging. Over half of companies reported cyber attacks coming through OT or IoT devices. Vulnerabilities, specifically in critical manufacturing, jumped 230%.
It's terrifying.
Ransomware gangs are increasingly using vulnerable IoT devices as their initial way into a network.
A weak link to get inside the castle walls.
Precisely. And security practices are lagging badly. Only about 29% of industrial companies do thorough security testing. And patch management is slow, 31%. Just wait for the next scheduled maintenance window to apply critical security patches.
That could be months.
It could be. The risk profiles are also shifting. In 2025, the retail sector actually showed the highest average device risk, followed by financial services, government, and healthcare. So you put it all together. The exploding attack surface, insecure design from the start, really poor security practices. It is a ticking time bomb, threatening data, privacy, businesses, even physical safety.
Nothing makes the risks clearer than looking at actual incidents. Real-world examples really drive home the stakes. These aren't just theories. And frankly, it highlights why taking control of your own home security, maybe with resources from sponsors like www.securia.house, is becoming so important. Can you walk us through some key case studies?
Absolutely. They're powerful lessons. Let's start with Mirai back in 2016. The impact was huge. Massive DDoS attacks, distributed denial of service. They basically flooded targets with junk traffic. Took down major sites like Twitter, Netflix, Reddit, CNN for hours.
I remember that. The internet just felt broken for a while.
It peaked at over 1 terabit per second of attack traffic. And the technique? Brutally simple. The malware scanned the internet for devices with open telnet ports and old remote access method. Then it just tried those 64 common default username password combos.
Admin, root 12345, that kind of thing.
Exactly. If it got in, the device, usually things like home routers, IP cameras, digital video recorders, became part of the botnet army.
So the lesson is,
millions of simple, insecure devices, often forgotten in corners, can be weaponized to take down critical parts of the internet, all because of terrible password hygiene and default settings.
okay, what's another major one?
The Jeep Cherokee hack in 2015. This one was different, more direct, physical impact. Security researchers Charlie Miller and Chris Valasek wirelessly took control of a Jeep Cherokee. A journalist was driving it on the highway.
While someone was driving, what could they do?
They messed with the radio, the wipers, the air conditioning, but then they disabled the transmission, and chillingly, they could even disable the brakes.
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
It led to a recall of 1.4 million vehicles. Technically, they found a vulnerability in the Uconnect infotainment system, which was connected to the internet. Then, crucially, they figured out how to jump from the infotainment system, which was supposed to be separate, to the car's critical CAN bus. That controls the engine, transmission, brakes.
They crossed the supposed air gap.
They did. They rewrote firmware on a controller chip that bridged that gap. It was undeniable proof. A cyber attack could have real-world, kinetic, potentially lethal consequences. It turned a car into a potential weapon.
That completely changes the game.
It really did. And we should also mention Stuxnet, though it's older, discovered around 2010. It was a precursor to many modern threats. Stuxnet wasn't about disruption, it was about physical destruction. It's widely believed to have destroyed uranium enrichment centrifuges at Iran's Natanz nuclear facility.
How did it even get into a supposedly secure air-gapped nuclear facility?
Infected USB drives. It then used 4 different zero-day vulnerabilities in Microsoft Windows flaws unknown at the time. Its target was specific Siemens Industrial Control Computers, PLCs, running the centrifuges. It subtly changed their speeds, causing them to tear themselves apart over time.
While hiding what it was doing.
Exactly. It sent back false data to the engineers, making everything look normal until the physical damage was done. Stuxnet was the first publicly known digital weapon to cause physical destruction. It proved air gaps weren't foolproof.
Okay, those are massive scale, high impact attacks. What about things closer to home, more personal?
Yeah, there have been significant breaches of trust involving devices like cameras and even medical implants. Remember the TrendNet SecureView cameras a while back? They had a flaw that allowed anyone to view the live video and audio feeds online without any password.
Just open to the world.
Pretty much. More recently, Amazon Ring cameras face scrutiny. There are reports in May 2025 of suspicious logins showing up in user accounts, which Ring called a visual bug. But it resonated because of past issues and FTC settlement over Ring employees accessing private customer videos and criticisms about basic security failures. It erodes trust.
Definitely. And medical devices, that sounds incredibly risky.
It is. In 2017, the FDA issued a warning about St. Jude Medical, now Abbott, cardiac devices, pacemakers, and defibrillators. Vulnerabilities were found that could theoretically allow an attacker to rapidly drain the battery or even deliver inappropriate, potentially fatal electrical shocks.
That's life or death.
Absolutely. Similar vulnerabilities have been highlighted in other devices too, like Philips patient monitors and Zoll defibrillators. It shows the intensely personal, high-stakes nature of IoT security when it involves health and safety.
So these examples really cover the spectrum, from massive disruption like Mirai, to physical danger like the Jeep hack, to deep privacy violations and even life-threatening risks with medical devices.
Right. They show how simple mistakes get weaponized at scale and how connections between systems create risks you might not expect. Attacks often succeed at the seams.
It paints a concerning picture. So, faced with all this, what can actually be done? Is it hopeless?
No, definitely not hopeless. The good news is there are clear, actionable steps. Securing IoT isn't just one group's job, it's a collective effort, a layered defense. Everyone has a role.
Okay, let's break that down. Where does it start? Manufacturers.
It absolutely has to start with manufacturers. They need to embrace a secure by design mandate. Security can't be bolted on at the end. It needs to be part of the entire product lifecycle, right from the initial risk assessment.
What does that look like in practice?
Several key things. Critically, eliminate default passwords. Just get rid of them. Every device must ship with a unique random password or force the user to create a strong one during setup. No excuses.
That seems fundamental.
It is. Second, a secure update mechanism. Reliable over-the-air updates. Digitally signed firmware to prove it's legit. Encrypted delivery. Protection against rolling back to old versions. Patches need to get out quickly and safely.
Okay, what else?
Hardware-level security. Things like a hardware root of trust, often a special chip like a TPM or secure element. It provides a secure anchor for storing cryptographic keys and verifying the boot process, making the device much harder to tamper with at a fundamental level. Also, physical hardening, like disabling debug ports on production units.
So building security in from the silicon up and making updates reliable.
Exactly. Plus, encrypting data, having a clear way for researchers to report vulnerabilities. It's a whole mindset shift.
All right, what about the people managing the networks these devices connect to? Network administrators.
Their role is crucial too. For network administrators, job one is discover and inventory all assets. You absolutely cannot secure what you cannot see. Find everything IT, OT, and especially that shadow IoT.
Visibility is key. Then what?
Network segmentation. This is powerful. Don't let all your devices mingle on one flat network. Use things like VLANs to create separate zones. Maybe a trusted zone for sensitive computers, an untrusted zone just for IoT devices, a guest network. Then use strict firewall rules to control traffic between those zones.
So if an IoT camera gets hacked,
it can't easily jump to your main computer or server because it's isolated in its own segment. It contains the damage.
Makes sense. What else?
Embrace zero trust architecture, ZTA. This is a big strategic shift. Move away from the old trust but verify model, where anything inside the network was assumed safe. With zero trust, it's never trust, always verify. No user, no device is trusted by default. Every single access request, every connection has to be continuously authenticated and authorized based on identity, device health, role, etc. It drastically limits an attacker's ability to move laterally if they do breach one device.
That sounds like a much more rigorous approach.
It is. Plus, harden the network infrastructure itself, strong passwords, multi-factor authentication, MFA for admin access. Use modern Wi-Fi security like WPA3. Apply the principle of least privilege with firewall rules. And monitor constantly, patch diligently, and have an incident response plan ready.
Okay, that covers manufacturers and network admins. What about us, the end users at home with our smart speakers and thermostat?
You, the end user, have a critical role too, and thankfully the most important steps are straightforward. The single most important action. Please change every default password on any new IoT device you buy immediately. Make it strong and unique. Don't reuse passwords.
That seems to be the recurring theme. Change the defaults.
It's the biggest bang for your buck. Also, secure your home Wi-Fi network. Strong, unique password. Enable WPA3 encryption if your router supports it.
Okay.
Enable multi-factor authentication, MFA, wherever it's offered on the device's app, the associated cloud account. That extra layer makes it much harder for someone to take over your account even if they guess your password.
Good advice. What else?
Keep software and firmware updated. If there's an option for automatic updates, turn it on. If not, make a reminder to check for updates regularly and install them. Patches often fix critical security holes.
Right. Don't ignore those update notifications.
Exactly. Also, disable features you don't use. If you don't need remote access from outside your home, turn it off. Disable Universal Plug and Play, UPnP, on your router. Unless you absolutely know you need it, it can sometimes open unexpected holes.
be mindful on public Wi-Fi too.
Definitely. Avoid managing your smart home devices when you're on unsecured public Wi-Fi. If you absolutely have to, use a VPN. And for more tech-savvy users, consider setting up a separate Wi-Fi network just for your IoT devices, completely isolating them from your main computers and phones.
That's a great list of practical steps. But as you said, the real game changer is shifting the burden, making products secure from the start.
That's where the most profound improvements will come from. Systemic changes, secure by default.
Which ties back perfectly to the importance of resources like our sponsor, www.secureit.house, helping people build that secure environment. So looking forward now, how is the landscape evolving? What's next for IoT security?
We're seeing progress on two main fronts: advanced security approaches and new technologies, plus a major push from regulators.
Okay, tell me about the advanced approaches.
We've already touched on Zero Trust Architecture, ZTA. It's really becoming a core strategy. The security perimeter isn't the network edge anymore. It's the identity of the user or device. Never trust, always verify. Secure edge computing is also key. Processing data locally, as we discussed, reduces data exposure and allows for millisecond threat detection and response right near the device.
Faster and potentially safer.
Yes. And there's the ongoing convergence of IT and OT security. Securing industrial IoT means blending IT's focus on confidentiality with OT's priorities of availability and physical safety. Models like the Purdue model help structure defenses in those complex industrial environments.
And what about new technologies being developed?
Some really interesting stuff. For those low-power devices, lightweight cryptography is vital. NIST finalized the ASCON standard in 2023, strong encryption, designed specifically for resource-constrained environments. Think military-grade security that doesn't drain the battery.
That's crucial for small sensors and things.
Definitely. Public key infrastructure, PKI for IoT, is gaining traction too. Issuing a unique digital certificate to every single device allows for strong mutual authentication. The device proves who it is, the server proves who it is, prevents device spoofing. The challenge is managing potentially billions of certificates.
A logistical challenge.
Yeah.
What powerful.
And then there's AI and machine learning.
Yeah.
AML, it's a double-edged sword here.
How so?
On the defense side, AML is amazing for analyzing massive streams of IoT data to spot anomalies and detect new threats in real time, faster than humans ever could.
But the other edge.
AI itself becomes a target. Attackers could try to poison the training data to make the AI blind to certain attacks, or trick AI models into revealing sensitive information. So securing the AI used for security is also critical.
Fascinating. And connectivity itself. 5G, 6G.
Yeah, next-gen networks like 5G and eventually 6G enable this massive explosion in connected devices. But they also bring new security challenges that need new architectural thinking. Hyperconnectivity means hyperexposure if not done right.
Okay, so lots of technological development. What about the rules? You mentioned regulators stepping in.
This is arguably the biggest shift happening right now. The regulatory horizon. We're moving from voluntary best practices to mandatory requirements. Europe has the ETSI EN 303-6545 standard for consumer IoT, setting baseline provisions like no universal default passwords. The U.S. has the NIST Cybersecurity Framework, CSF, widely adopted, and the IoT Cybersecurity Improvement Act of 2020, which mandates standards for devices the federal government buys, a big market driver.
So governments are setting standards now.
Yes, but the real heavyweight is the EU Cyber Resilience Act, CRA. This is sweeping. It imposes mandatory cybersecurity requirements on almost all products with digital elements sold in the EU.
Mandatory for nearly everything. What does it demand?
Things like manufacturers conducting thorough risk assessments, providing free and timely security updates for the product's expected lifetime, minimum 5 years, maintaining a software bill of materials, SAM, so components are known, and crucially, reporting actively exploited vulnerabilities within 24 hours.
5 years of security updates? Mandatory. That's huge.
It's a game changer. Non-compliance carries hefty fines, potentially millions of euros, or a percentage of global turnover. It makes security not just a feature, but a legal and financial necessity.
That regulatory pressure seems essential to finally force that secure by default shift across the industry.
It absolutely is. It's accelerating systemic change in a way voluntary guidelines never quite could. So wrapping up, a few core truths really emerge. First, security is a shared responsibility. Manufacturers, network admins, end users, everyone needs to participate. Second, in this distributed world, identity is the new perimeter. Verifying who or what is connecting is paramount. Third, and maybe most critical for long-term change, the burden must shift to the manufacturer. Products need to be secure out of the box, pushed by regulations like the CRA. And finally, security is a continuous process. It's never done. It's an ongoing cycle. Assess risk, monitor, patch, adapt, repeat.
That's a powerful summary. It leaves us with a crucial question, though. As these devices get woven ever deeper into our lives, our homes, our critical infrastructure, will we, as consumers, start demanding security with the same passion we currently demand new features and convenience? What is the real cost of security, and ultimately, who ends up paying for it? Something to think about. This has been a deep dive into securing our hyper-connected world. A big thank you to our sponsor, www.securiat.house, for supporting this vital conversation. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning with the deep dive.